welcome back to Goingsnake. Today we are heading back to Goingsnake proper for the first time in a little while. We had been working on that lovely little farming town, but that is completed and we're going to be working over here now. This is just on, I guess if you're coming across the bridge into town to Main Street, this is on the left side of Main Street, over by where I built the cargo, over by where I built the cargo terminal, as you can see by the cargo terminal right there. And yeah, this is kind of the last part of the master plan that I had set out with a couple of episodes ago, where I wanted to start to kind of focus on industry a little bit and put together a little bit of an economy for old Goingsnake. So we built the little town, we built the farms around the little town, and I'm envisioning this as sort of a warehouse slash industrial area that, I don't know, they send the goods here and they store the goods and make stuff with the goods and ship the goods. And I'm envisioning this is just kind of the central point of shipping in Goingsnake. Don't know if that makes a ton of sense, but in my head, that's what we got, so I don't know. And I really am excited about the way that this came out. I think it came out pretty awesome. I like building this sort of thing. It's just kind of like an old rundown warehouse area. Did a lot of fun work with decals, and it's nice because I can be a little bit haphazard, I guess, with some of my detailing, and not everything has to necessarily be perfect because I want it to be kind of run down. Like, for example, these lines on this parking lot. As you can see, it's not totally flat, and as a result, some of the lines are clipping into the pavement. And, you know, if this was somewhere where I wanted it to be like a pristine, perfect area, that would piss me off, and I would flatten it and I would take care of that. But with the way I'm kind of envisioning this area, I don't feel like I have to do that. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay if the lines are a little bit faded. I slapped some more decals and stuff on there to make the whole parking lot a little bit, like, just not in pristine condition. And I think it looks good. I'm happy with the way it came out. And I downloaded a bunch of new assets for this build, lots of new warehouses and stuff like that from the workshop. As I was going into this, I tried finding some vanilla buildings that I felt like fit the look that I was going for, and I just didn't find a whole lot that I really liked. So many of the vanilla buildings are just kind of cartoony looking and just kind of bright, and the detail's not quite there. And I found a handful of these just really scruffy looking, I don't know if that's the right word to describe a building. These really grungy looking warehouses, and I don't know, they just fit in really nice. And I'm pretty happy with the way that all these came together. I ended up using very few, if any, vanilla assets for this. So that's neat. And as I'm going through it, one thing that you'll see I did a bit of was with tackling the elevation, there's really kind of like two ways that I felt worked to handle it. One was kind of what I'm doing here, and that's not really dealing with buildings quite as much, because then you get all that weird stuff going on when you use buildings with the like the support underneath the concrete shows, and it just looks funky, and from certain angles I just don't like it. So what I was doing was, if it was an area that had like a really bad elevation change, I would just kind of turn that into a empty lot, kind of. In that case, I was using it sort of like storage for that warehouse next to it. And there's a couple of spots that I do that. And then the other alternative is to just build like a retaining wall and just have it kind of be elevated. So I do both. And all in all, I thought that there's a good mix of the two. And those big open lots also do a nice job of just kind of adding a little bit more unused space to it. Because I do feel like these sort of industrial areas, it's not just all these warehouses are packed on top of each other. There are storage lots and abandoned areas, and a lot of them are kind of in the process of being almost abandoned and slowly sort of gentrified and kind of transforming, or at least the ones that I live around are kind of like that. So that was kind of what I was thinking as I was building this too. Like, I wanted it to have plenty of functional buildings in it, but I did want there to be some abandoned lots. And I even built a building a little bit later on that I am kind of picturing as like a gentrified, just new business that had opened in an old warehouse. So we'll talk about that when I get to it. But that was kind of what I was thinking with this area. And also with those empty lots, I feel like it's kind of cool to have those as opportunities to maybe build something new in the future. If maybe I want to add more industry over here, pack things in a little bit tighter, or like I said with gentrification, if I want to like throw an apartment in there, that could be something cool too. So yeah, I didn't totally pack it, and that was intentional. This was a weird spot here. I just had this awkward little, this whole lot here was kind of a funky angle, and I made it even weirder by putting this curved parking lot behind it and then just kind of jamming it into the other road. I tried to kind of work with my base roads that I had laid down. To be honest, I really didn't put a ton of thought into those base roads. I just kind of threw them down when I was sort of laying out how I thought some of these roads might go. But also, I do feel like when you're building something new, you don't necessarily get the luxury of move it in real life, and you can't just pick up the road and put it somewhere more convenient for your construction. So I wanted to, unless I had something that like I just really needed to move it for, I wanted to try to kind of keep these base roads that I had put down more or less intact. Like they weren't bad or anything to the point that I felt like they needed to be just completely bailed on. So I thought that was a nice challenge, trying to figure out what to do with that curved spot. And I don't know, it's probably my least favorite part of this build, the way that that parking lot just clips into the road there, but whatever. It doesn't look too bad. And this building actually is one of my, it's definitely, I don't think it's my favorite, but it's up there. I like the way that this came together. So this is technique number 2 for dealing with elevation, of just using retaining walls and pretending like, you know, you have dirt there. So this came out really cool. So I'm using ploppable asphalt, as you can see, and at first I was kind of thinking it was a curse having the ploppable asphalt in my whatever, the cement concrete, I think, being different colors. And it is still kind of a pain sometimes. And I know you can change that, but I kind of like it actually after this build. The way that it kind of transforms from one to the other and combined with the decals, I think it looks cool. And it gives the whole situation here just a little bit more depth and contrast, and I like it. I'm pretty happy with it. The one thing about dealing with this ploppable asphalt is every time I do anything around it, it breaks it. So I had to keep going through, and you'll see it as I'm building. It kept breaking on me. It kept like defaulting back to the ground, and everything would get screwed up, and that was a little bit of a bummer. But I guess once I'm done with this area, I won't be tweaking it too terribly much, and stuff will not just break. Like, I think it's already done it. If you look at that warehouse that I just built, those little bollards that I put down are already gone. So, what can you do? So this is an area that's kind of backing up, not quite against Main Street. And I realized I put those handicap spots backwards, and I didn't even see it until I was taking the cinematic shots, and then I fixed it. So I don't know how I missed that. That was kind of dumb. But this area backs up against Main Street. So I put some businesses that are actually opened in it. So I think that was pretty cool. Now, one thing I want to do with this episode, I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to throw some music in. I was really on a roll right here, and I'm just going to let some music play, and I'm going to shut up for a second. That was fun, right? I'm trying to innovate over here. I had this like 3-minute long clip, which equates to 15 minutes real time, not sped up, where I didn't make any cuts because I was just really on a roll. So I was like, you know what? That seems like a good opportunity to just let the city building wash over everyone. I don't know. Mostly I just wanted to give myself a little break because I just did the last episode like 2 days ago and I don't have a whole lot new to say. Except for just word vomiting whatever I'm seeing as I'm watching this back. Anyway, I don't know. I thought that would be kind of fun. So, Yeah, as I was saying, this area where that barbecue shop is kind of backs up to close to Main Street. So I'm kind of envisioning that little area all along there, really, to be the spot where it kind of transitions from warehouse to commercial businesses. And I think that it came out pretty well. And that barbecue shop is kind of run down, so it does sort of straddle the line between the two anyway. And that's actually, that area is one of my favorite spots. It's really funny looking back at that. I thought that was like a Move It glitch, those reversed handicapped spots, because I found them when I was doing the shot of the barbecue place for the cinematics later, and I was like, there's no way that I didn't notice that those handicap spots were backwards and that the part you were supposed to pull into from was inside the barbecue shop. But nope, I'm actually just that dumb and I didn't notice. That's okay though. And while I was working on that area, I was just kind of collecting some other buildings that I thought might fit in over here, and just sort of threw them over here as you saw. And then when I made my way over this direction, I just kind of grabbed the ones that I felt like would fit, and I ended up with just this giant warehouse, which is nice because it takes up a huge swath of land here, and I didn't have to do a whole lot to it. One thing I wish I could do is make that parking lot a little bit bigger. It's just so small and tight, and I'm imagining if you're trying to maneuver an 18-wheeler around there, it's going to be borderline impossible. But I don't know. I couldn't really come up with a good solution for it, so it kind of is what it is. I did build a little road leading to it that is going to be very difficult for 18-wheelers to maneuver around that corner, but you know what? I don't know. I don't know what, but it is what it is. I'm not going to lose too much sleep over that part. I guess I'll use this opportunity to go ahead and throw in my mandatory, hey guys, let's build a community begging. If you're enjoying the series, definitely subscribe to the channel and let me know your thoughts on everything so far. If you have any thoughts about anything that you'd like me to build in the future, definitely put it in the comments. I am open to ideas. I have plenty of my own that I'm kind of mulling around, but definitely open to other ideas too. And I'm actually kind of trying to figure out what I'm going to do for the next episode, because these last handful have all been kind of part of a greater initiative here. All kind of working towards getting this area up and running and functional, since I'm wanting all this to be interconnected with that farming area. So yeah, those last 3 episodes were all kind of different builds, but they were all kind of part of the same like general idea. But now that's over. I did that. So I'm gonna be moving on to new things, and I haven't really decided yet on exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm kind of torn between, I know I want to do a bus station over by where the tram terminal is. So that's a possibility. I think I'm gonna do like a Capitol building and a Capitol Mall type thing over around that area also. So that's a possibility. I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna kind of scope it out here soon and come up with a little bit of a plan for some future episodes. But yeah, as of right now, I haven't decided for sure what I'm gonna do next. Now this on screen right now, this is what I was talking about with the gentrification. So we've got this old warehouse here, and I wanted to put a restaurant in it. So the warehouse is done. That business, Maggie Fashion Sportswear, has moved on. They are no longer there. And instead, Mancini Pizza and Beer has moved in. And I thought that was a cool use of these assets. And this is still along that street that's kind of backed up to stuff that's actually open, although the parking deck is what's on the other side of the street from here, but it's pretty close to Main Street. So I figured this is an area that's, if we are gentrifying this warehouse area, this is going to be the street that it's going to probably start on. And I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. That pizzeria didn't clip perfectly into that warehouse. I couldn't get it quite lined up right. I wanted to put it a little bit deeper in, but when I did that, the front door kind of vanished and was replaced by the warehouse garage door. So I had to make it jut out a little bit more than I wanted to, but it's passable. I don't think it's too terribly bad. And especially from a distance, you don't notice it too much, I don't think. And then what I'm doing here was I wanted to use this little area to build a seating area for the restaurant patrons. And then I wanted to have a little walkway leading from the entrance to over there. So yeah, now you can see it kind of come together. When it was just ploppable grass, it was kind of ugly, but now it looks a little bit better. But yeah, I think that came out pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with it. And really, I'm happy with this build as a whole. I think that this is probably my favorite build so far. And yeah, at this point, we're starting to wrap up. The last thing that I really did, well, two things, is just a little bit of final detail work. So you see some of the green spaces that were left over have been filled in. I kind of just threw some trees in there and made some more of those lots. And then from there, it was pretty much just throwing some decals down to make these roads look a little bit more run down like I wanted them to be. And of course, my fall leaves that I adore to put the final finishing touches on it. And that's really it. So here is our before and after of this build. Pretty big transformation. Got quite a bit filled in. And as always, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I had fun making it. And I'll be back eventually.